So recently it's come to my attention by a lot of celebrities like Rihanna, I said Rihanna, sorry guys, Rihanna, Kim Kardashian, West, and Snoop Dogg, out of all people. There's been a resurfacing of a murder case that happened in 2014. It was a 16-year-old girl. She didn't get murdered. She was put on trial for murder, and she was convicted, and she was sentenced to life in prison. So the reason why this was an issue, her name is Centoya Brown. She grew up in a very abusive adoptive family, so she ran away. She was still very young. She was found on the streets by a pimp by the name of, they called him Cutlass or something. They called him like some weird name like Cutlass. And he like kind of charmed her into like being in a relationship with him. And so she became dependent on him. She didn't know, but he was a pimp, so he would abuse her. He put her on drugs, like he drugged her. He would like pimp her out because he was a pimp. And so she was going through these things for a little bit until when she was 16, 2004. Her services were requested by someone named Johnny Allen. So he paid for his services. He took her home, and that's where she shot and killed him in self-defense. Okay, so the reason why I bring this up and why it's relevant is because many young women and girls nowadays are getting caught up in situations like this, and they're being put in jail when it's not really their fault. So my argument is that she was overly sentenced in prison. So I'm going to show that by saying that, one, she shouldn't have been tried as an adult. She was a minor. I'm going to show how the act was in self-defense, and three, that she was a victim, which under a certain law says that in her case, her charges should have been dropped. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is how she was tried as an adult. So like I said before, this girl's 16 years old. You guys, like, she didn't have a childhood. She was constantly abused, drugged, like raped, all these things. So when this situation happened to her, she's young, like I said before. And if you guys didn't know, adults and children, minors, they get charged differently for the same crime. So like, I'm an adult. If I were to go to the corner store over there and like take a Snickers bar, that's stealing. I'm going to prison. Like, I might as well, get locked up. But if I'm like a junior high schooler, like high schooler, and I go and I steal something like that, I'm probably getting like a month or two in juvie. Like I'm getting maybe a slap on the wrist, maybe go for a ride along or something. Like the stuff like that. Like the penalty is lower. So for her to be charged as an adult while being a minor in the state of a minor, the mindset of a minor, was wrong. Because as we know, children, they don't think things through. They don't think about the consequences of their actions, which is why there's a separation between the two. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about how murdering him or the homicide was in self-defense. So when she was taken to his house, she walks in, they both walk in, and there's guns everywhere. There's guns in display cases. Like, she just sees them laying around because she didn't know, but he was a sharpshooter in the military. And from her experience previous to him, she has been held at gunpoint by other people who requested her services. She's been like beaten brutally and stuff like that. So in her mind, she's seeing all these guns, and she's automatically thinking like, oh my goodness, like this could be my last day, So while they were in his bedroom, before he got what he was, paid for or whatever, he was reaching under his bed. And so she panicked, and she was like, in her mind, she was thinking, he's reaching for a gun, like I have to do something, he's gonna pull it out, pull it on me, like. So she takes a gun and she kills him. So I think if you kind of put yourself in her shoes and in her mindset, you can see how that's self-defense. Like, she was thinking that he's gonna pull it on her. If you guys don't know, like cops kind of do the same thing. I'm not comparing her to a cop, but they if you pull like something, like if you move your hands too quick, or if you pull something out of your pocket and I think it's a gun, I'm gonna shoot you. So it was kind of the same mindset like that. So according to the legal articles homicide, under the section that says, that talks about how far like it goes, like there's a section that talks about justifiable homicide. And under that, it basically says that if you kill someone who's by self-defense, trying to prevent them from harming you in any way, and like serious crimes like rape or robbery or murder, then your killing them basically justified. So your charges can be dropped, they can be acquitted, things like that. And in this case, she falls under that category in so many ways. She had a reason to believe that he, could kill her. He was gonna rape her because it's not like she wanted to be, to be there with him. She's forced to do that, and if she doesn't do it, like, she can get physically harmed. So his intention was there, and she knew it, she knew it, and she saw it, and she was pretty much just protecting herself from being, killed and raped, like it said. And under those things, like, she had the right to protect herself, and even going so far as killing him, which we all know is wrong, it's justifiable under that. Also, one thing her attorney said about her sentence, this was supposed to be before, but about her being overly sentenced, was that she made a point when she was in an interview with the Tennesseans, saying that they're taking a kid at the age 14 or 15 or 16 and making a decision about the rest of their life based on who they were at that age. So basically what she's saying is, like, she was 16 years old and she made a decision, but when you're 16, like, when you're young like that, you change so often. So even the next year when you're 17, you're gonna be a different person than when you're like 16, and as it goes on, you change and progress. So you don't wanna be held in jail for something like you did when you're 16, like when you're 80 years old, So just things like that is crazy. And then lastly, I'm gonna add to how she was a victim, because like we said under the justifiable homicide, he was coming for her, so she had a right to protect herself. So one thing that the prosecutor did was try to say that it was robbery, because after she shot him, like, she's in a panic state. Put yourself in her shoes once again. She has nowhere to go, no money, no anything. She just killed this guy that that she thought was trying to kill her. So she sees his wallet, she grabs it, and she's taking off. I'll be like, I zoomed too. But anyway, she took off, and so when they caught her, they said that she took his wallet, so that made it a robbery. So that's why they put her in jail for life. So they made it seem like, or the way they argued it, my bad, was that her intention was to rob him and then kill him and then zoom. So there's two different sides. You can see why it's a controversial case, but if you really put yourself in her shoes, like going back from how she was like brought up and stuff like that, and then into that very like situation that she was in where she pulled the trigger, you could kind of understand why like it happened, and that it was self-defense, and that she shouldn't have been sentenced to life in prison with parole options like at 69 years old. Like, that was ridiculous. So in conclusion, I hope that you see like how she was wrongfully sentenced, and
All right, well, Christina's not here, so I guess we're not going to worry about that. It was a little unclear at the beginning if you were going to be talking about a generic issue concerning human trafficking or prostitution, and then it sounds like it's more particular to cases of abuse, and then it finally turns out that you're going to be very specific about this particular case. So I think that that's okay. I think you need to be a little bit clearer about it at the beginning. The quotes that you had at the beginning sounded very abstract, and I don't know that they exactly tell us what it is that was the controversy here. You do set up a preview of what the supporting structure is going to be on what you're going to be talking about. So that there is an organizational structure here. I just thought that the material under it is not really well developed around those kinds of issues. It's developed around the story that's being told here. The first question that I had as I'm listening to this is, well, did the defense attorney make all these arguments already? And if the defense attorney made these arguments and they were not accepted in the trial process by the jury, there's got to be an explanation as to what happened here. Why was this the case? And I'm not hearing any reference to any evidence about this. I'm just hearing the story that you're telling. And there's the story that the prosecutor told also. So the jury heard two stories apparently, and they believe the prosecutor's story. What I need to know is, why should I not believe the prosecutor's story, and why should I believe this story instead? And I'm not getting any specific information about why this story is more logical, more reasonable, more acceptable to believe. I mean, I've got empathy for anybody who is going to be facing a long period of time in prison, but I also have a lot of empathy for somebody who's dead. And so the question then becomes, what's our situation here? When you say, well, she was abused, she's going to believe this. That's a horrifying situation. But like you said yourself, that doesn't necessarily justify killing somebody. So what does justify her killing this? Was she attacked by this person? No, she thought she was going to be attacked by this person. At least that's the story that she's told. Did the prosecution say it's a robbery? Well, what evidence is there that it's a robbery? Well, she's got his wallet and the money, that sort of thing. I'm going, okay, so we've got her story where she says, I thought I was being attacked, and the prosecution story that says, well, she stole the wallet. Okay, now I'm going, okay, so there's a reason that you believe her story, but I don't know what the reason is. And if I'm sitting on the jury and I'm listening to this, I'm going, give me a reason to believe what's going on here. Why is this the better story? Why is this the thing I ought to believe? And I'm not getting enough of that here to, clearly it's controversial. People are talking about it. Celebrities have come to her defense in this particular situation. I don't know if they're coming to her defense out of sympathy for her situation or out of an injustice that's being carried out. And I think the argument needs to be about the injustice. And you need more proof on that. All right, thank you.